The Baltic Sea is fast turning into one of Europe's most volatile military flashpoints. What was once a contested transit route between Russia and NATO is now being framed by Moscow as a potential naval battlefield. Russian officials are warning of attempts to choke Moscow's access to international waters, while NATO is expanding maritime surveillance and naval deployments across the Baltic. The confrontation is no longer theoretical. It is now being described by Russia's top security insiders as an economic war at sea, one that could spill into direct military confrontation. The warning comes from one of Vladimir Putin's closest security allies. Nikolai Patrushev says Western powers are deliberately trying to paralyze Russia's foreign trade by targeting maritime routes and Russian-flagged shipping. He frames ship seizures and maritime pressure as an opening phase of a naval blockade strategy against Russia. Moscow's response, he says, will not be symbolic diplomacy, but naval force deployed far beyond Russia's immediate coastline.
In fact, pirate attacks on Russian maritime trade indicate that Western opponents have decided to strike at one of the most important areas of the Russian economy. Foreign trade, they want to paralyze it. According to available data, such actions will intensify. Attacks on our ships and cargo will become more frequent. If we do not give them a tough rebuff, then soon the British, French, and even the Balts will become so impudent that they will try to tightly block our country's access to the seas, at least in the Atlantic basin.
Patrushev's warning escalates into a direct military threat. He says any attempt to impose a naval blockade on Russia would be illegal and provocative. But Moscow is preparing to respond with force if diplomacy fails. He frames the Baltic as part of a broader maritime confrontation that could stretch from northern Europe to the Atlantic and beyond. The message is blunt. Russia will not accept being locked out of the sea lanes that carry its oil, grain, and fertilizer exports.
If it is not possible to resolve this situation peacefully, then the blockade will be broken and eliminated by the Navy. Let's not forget that many ships sail the seas under European flags. We may also wonder what they are transporting and where.
Those political warnings are now being backed by military drills on Russia's Baltic coast. Russian coastal missile units in the Kaliningrad region have been training to destroy enemy surface ships using high-speed anti-ship strike systems. The drills focus on rapid deployment, camouflage, electronic launch simulations, and immediate relocation after firing, a tactic designed to evade NATO counterstrikes. These coastal missile systems are designed to turn the narrow Baltic Sea into a kill zone for hostile vessels approaching Russian shores or attempting to enforce maritime pressure. Russia's Baltic coast is defended by layered coastal strike systems capable of threatening warships, logistics vessels, and surveillance ships operating across much of the Baltic Sea. These systems are designed to detect targets using over-the-horizon radar, satellite targeting data, and maritime patrol feeds, then launch precision-guided anti-ship missiles at long range. Modern Russian coastal missile units can engage targets hundreds of kilometers away, strike at supersonic speeds, and overwhelm naval defenses through salvo launches. For NATO navies operating in the confined Baltic Sea, these missile batteries turn coastal zones into high-risk kill corridors rather than safe transit routes. The confrontation in the Baltic is now being framed by Moscow as part of a wider naval war posture against NATO. Russia is signaling that future clashes will not be limited to land borders or airspace incidents, but could extend to shipping lanes, ports, and naval task groups. The Baltic Sea, one of the world's most militarized waterways, is becoming a proving ground for a new phase of Russia's confrontation with the West. From political threats in Moscow to live-fire strike rehearsals on the Baltic coast, Russia is laying down a clear marker. If NATO moves to tighten control of the seas, Moscow is preparing to fight back at sea.